Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my presentation. I'm going to talk about trends in textile printing and with a special focus on digital printing. Very shortly, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Maike Rabe. I'm professor at University of Applied Sciences in Mönchengladbach, and here I'm teaching textile finishing and ecology. So digital printing is part of my field. The presentation I'm going to give today will cover the following topics: briefly looking into the history of printing and where we are today. I will talk about market shares and I'd like to try to compare very briefly traditional and digital printing, come to consumer trends and how we can cover them with a digital print. And I would also like to show you some experimental work from the university where we try to solve some of the problems in the digital printing world. Okay, so just let's start very briefly. In the world of printing, we can say it is already a very old technology. There are samples which are dated in the 4th century coming from China, where printing was used for some religious reasons. Over the years, over the centuries, I think there were two revolutions, both the first one in the year 1850, when the first screen printing started, where silk fabrics were used as material in flat screens. And this was followed by a sort of industrialization, mechanization of the flat screen printing. So can say this is the first revolution we had. Second revolution in textile printing was the introduction of the seamless rotary screen by Zimmer and Stork, ITMA, 1963. So this is what you can say state of the art for today. Most of all textiles are either printed with flat screens or rotary screens. But okay, we also are now looking into a third revolution, and this is dating here FESPA and ITMA 99 last century, when the digital printing started. We can call it dawn of digital printing. Again, a famous company, Stork, was here #1 who came with a new technology, but also in that year Mimaki, Konica and other companies were present with digital solutions. Since then, there was a tremendous development in this technology, ending up with high-speed production units, and you can see them here on the fair today. So I would like to say ITMA 2011 was, at least for the textile people, the technical breakthrough, where we found a large number of suppliers for printers, for inks, and for the additional equipment. So I would like to say since 2011, digital printing became a real industrial process and not just a patterning process. Okay, the market share, in spite of all these revolutions, is still very solid, and there were not so many changes over the last 3 to 4 years. So since ITMA 2011, the market share for the digital print is still fairly small, 1%. Rotary screen, 65, and flat screen are very dominant here, and the transfer print with 4% also, they play the major role in this market, and we have to see what happens with these 1%. There is a strong growth in this field. We have a growth of 22 to 30% for this technology, but there are still some no-goes, which from my point of view might still block this growth perspective. So wondering where we will head to, I would like to show you some other trends. Looking into the world fiber market, what type of fibers are we dealing with in textile industry? What you can see here is the development of the world fiber market over the last 110 years. So today we have an amount of 80 million tons of fibers, and the dominant fibers are synthetic fibers, most of them synthetic polyester fibers. Cotton is also #2 here in this market, and for the world of printing, we have to say this distribution looks a little bit different. Here, cotton is somewhat more important. You can see it here. These are the fabrics for the printing shop. More or less 50% is cotton-based. So whenever you want to invest in technology, you have to keep in mind that most of the fabrics that have to be treated are cellulosic. Cotton is followed by viscose, and what you also see here, which you have to keep in mind, especially for the home textile market, mixture of polyester and cellulosic fibers. This is also very important. So think about the dye stuffs, about the inks you work with. They must go with one of these fibers. Polyester is then here with 21%, also something which we have to keep in mind. Now, our problems have to be solved for printing on cellulosics, printing on mixtures of synthetics and natural material. This leads already to some dye stuffs and pigments, some colorants we can use. So this is a comparison or a view on the traditional and on the digital print. Looking onto the left chart, you see the majority of colorants which is used, and here we find 50% is pigment-based, 26% reactive. This is what you have to keep in mind. Printing is quite dominated by pigments and reactives, and this is something which I also would like to put in a little bit of a focus for this presentation. What are we going to do about these pigments in the digital printing world? So mainly looking into fashion and home textiles. So if you translate, or if you move from this chart to that chart, you see a very different situation for the colorants in the digital world. Here the majority is disperse, and the pigments 2% and reactives 28%. Disperse transfer is very important. This is fashion business, so when we talk about growth in digital printing, up to now it is a growth in this field of disperse, and it is a field in the field of reactive. But when we want to cover this here, there is large business from my point of view, which we can get here in the reactive and also in the pigment part. We have to look also into this field here, what's happening there, and there are some very interesting solutions here on the exhibition. Right, comparing the traditional and the digital print, we not just have to look into the colorants we work with, but also into the processes. These are process files which you are quite familiar with, and quite often we find that we underline the sustainability of the digital textile print. Here I would like to tell you we've got to be a bit more careful, because it's not just the process of printing in itself where we can say the digital print is much more sustainable in comparison to the traditional one, but we also have to look into all these other red fields here, which actually have a much bigger impact on the environment. So look into the pre-treatment of the fabric. This is the same for traditional and digital, so very important here. For the digital print, we also have to keep in mind a certain impregnation process, which definitely demands energy. So don't forget this here when we compare these two processes. And also the after treatment, the fixation by steaming and thermal fixation is quite the same for both technologies, and removing unfixed dyes also is the same. So be careful when you compare these two. I think one big impact here, or one big plus for the digital print, is the speed when it comes to development of new designs. So here we can say the digital print is definitely superb in comparison to the traditional way, but there are other aspects we have to consider. This is a rather big chart, so I don't know whether you want to perhaps ask later on to get a copy of this. So I just highlighted the goes and no-goes in red for both technologies. So no-go or the limiting part here for the traditional way is that we have just limitation to the screens when it comes to the number of colors. So this is a superb situation for the digital print. On the other side, we have, when it comes to coloration here, a little bit of a problem when it comes to the depth of color, especially for black. And when it comes to print through, sometimes we can say we do not need that print through, we just need a surface coloration. But looking into the field of home textiles, I really think that a good color pickup is important. So also have to think about this here. The downtime for changes, definitely a problem for the traditional technology and a superb plus for the digital way. And on the bottom, you'll find here printing speed, which is still on the disadvantage side for the digital print, and the major plus for the traditional. So in future, we will definitely have both technologies, and we have to sort out where do the advantages, or which advantage speaks for this technology and which for the other. So be able to do both. And yeah, so I just selected this chart here in order to take you with me into what do we have to expect from the market. This is written in German, but it's quite easy to understand. This is a study of the social background of our German population. And I was just wondering, where are the people who are looking for for digital printed textiles in fashion as well as in home textile. So we have to be, we do not have to make illusions here. The number of people who is real fashionable is quite small, at least in Germany. It will be very different in Italy. So at least in our conservative country, we have a small group, 10%, which we call the modern performer. Also around 10%, the experimentalist. This could be a person really interested in fashion, in colors. And we have down here another 10%, which we call the consume and the materialists, people who really like to buy and who have shopping as their hobby. So this is the group of people we have to focus. So just talking about a population of 80 million people in Germany, can say maybe just 40%, 50%, namely the women, might actually be in our focus. And out of this group, it will be maybe 20 to 30%, which are our target group. But at least this is quite a big number. And if you multiply this by the potential worldwide, it will be interesting for you. So I try to find a different focus onto this trend question, and there is a rather interesting study which was carried out by an important political magazine in German, which is called Der Spiegel, in English The Mirror. And I translated out of this study what people said. I just highlighted some of the trends which I could find there. I find them actually quite astonishing, in a way disappointing, but it meets the chart we had before. There are many, many people who say, I do not want to be different. I just want to be part of the mass. 48% just say, I don't want to be different. Also, people don't want to be noticeable. So maybe camouflage print would be the best solution for these people. And people want to have garment, fashion, which can be used on many occasions. So not just a high fashionable product, something which is, which can be worn on many occasions. 64% of this is what the people say here. People are not that much interested in environment, which is a bit of a disappointment. So this could be a plus for the digital print and for printing in general. So roughly 50% are not really deciding their fashion buyings according to ecology. People say that garments which they buy from discounters, we have pretty strong discounters in Germany, for example, Aldi or Lidl, and they are rather big players when it comes to garment. So many people think that these garments are fashion, 54%. So what a sad situation for our designers. And people really like to have their fabrics, their garment elastic and comfortable. So this is obviously more important than fashion, but I also found something which is makes us a bit happier. Also, what people also like, they want to have some individual styling possibilities, and I think this brings us back with a digital print. People want to find a way to bring their own ideas into garments, so maybe this is a bit contradictory to what they said before. Maybe it's just the other half, which we found here. But so this gives us hope, and there will be definitely some part of the population and don't want to translate German market into international market, but yeah, so that better not. But yeah, this is at least a market where much money is spent in these consumer products. Okay, so this might be the future. Be individual and be digital. Just an idea how life could be in future, and this is probably something which might be or can be answered by the digital print. And there will also probably be a more growing question about sustainability. Will this be our future? We have something which we call the Generation X. You might be familiar with this Generation X. I definitely belong to this group of people who more or less spend their parents' money and they just live according to the motto, nothing costs anything. So for these people, the future might come to a quick end, and this is the new generation, Generation Y, is going into a different way, and they try to live more sustainable, and here digital print could also be a good answer. Now, we in the university have the feeling that we need answers to something which we call the foolproof digital print, something which just works. People expect digital print on textiles to be the same as on paper. So digital print, everyone is familiar with it and expect the same performance. And we translate this here together with our students in something which we call foolproof. So it just works. But to get there are many problems that have to be solved. There are difficulties with the substrates and the fabric quality, shrinkage, elongation, construction, residual chemicals, so big question marks behind quite a lot of this, the fabric we work on, and we have many changes in our collections and in the design, so there might be new fabrics to be selected every 2 months, and this could be a problem for the printers. Chemistry also is a topic. What about the coating of the priming of our fabrics? There is no universal recipe, so this is, we could say alchemistic in a way, lots of secrets behind it. And we also have to make sure that there is a homogeneous treatment. This goes hand in hand with the fabric quality to make sure that the material is prepared well. We have the question of the colorants, dye stuffs versus pigments. Large variety of dye stuffs, the composition of inks, concentration. So there is a variety here which makes it difficult to compare one system with the other. And also the after treatment has to be improved still. The printer and the additional equipment we need, there is also still quite a lot of work to be done. Just let's talk about fabric transport or about the fixation. What type of washing do we carry out afterwards? So we cannot expect that foolproof digital print will ever come true, but maybe we can find here and there a solution. And we also believe that there is quite a lot to be done in the design world. Color management is very important, also color communication, because the print will have to be, or the color information will have to be distributed globally. So this is a big thing here. I personally wonder, how can we make sure that there is a copyright for the designs? This is so easy to copy whatever fashionable design. I find this a bit difficult here. And last but not least, what do we do with the traditional printing technologies like resist print, discharge print, or Comeo print? So maybe we also need some solutions here, at least for the designer. This is a playground where they improve their designs with. In our university, we work on different fields with the students and with our scientific staff. So I just want to give you very few examples here on substrate quality and on our work where we check dye stuffs and pigments. So one machine we work with is a real luxury version of a digital printer from MS, and to get homogeneous treatments on the fabrics to get superb quality, we do major work into the control of the fabrics we print on. And just to show you an example, this is a viscose material we work with, and viscose is an important fabric or quality you work with. And just look onto this material. When we developed, or I can say we tried to get some quick tests done, and one quick test is to find out whether there are some residual chemicals on the fabric or in the fabric. And what you see here is a viscose material which we treated with potassium permanganate to indicate some residual reducing chemicals which are sort of included in the fiber. And just look onto this material. It shows two different colors, the pinkish version here and the brownish version here. So where the brown color is, there is an indication of sulfur-containing chemicals in the fabric, whereas the warp thread was without. So if you print on such a material, you will not get 100% convincing quality, because there will be some sort of stripiness in the material. Just one example. So if the material is after treated with an oxidizing agent, you can remove this reducing agent in the fabric just to get a perfect quality. But you have to know this before you start. Another way to check the material, raw fabrics, can be seen here. This is a quick test to carry out an extraction of the fabric, and you pump 5 milliliters of a certain extraction liquid, just say distilled water, and you check, for example, pH value of the fabrics. So what you can see here is the extraction of a fabric that already had a coating on it, sort of a pre-treatment before inkjet printing. And what you see here is one liquid, which was in which we dropped phenolphthalein, a dye, which indicates whether there is alkali in the fabric or not. So two samples. Obviously, the extract from the first one shows acidic or neutral extract, whereas the left one shows pH around 9, which could be an interesting information to see whether the quality of the fabric is all right and can be used for digital printing. So this is a rather simple way to have a quality check. Other information or other research work which we carry out can be seen here. This is the so-called solid ink technology, where we change solid ink by melting into a liquid state and by cooling down back into a solid state. So this is the type of ink we work with, and this is done together with a company, OCE, Canon, which you can also meet here in the exhibition. This is our lab and experimental printer. This is where the ink is introduced. And this is the way of print we produce. It is called a hot melt print. So it could be a solution to bind pigments or other colorants to the surface of textiles, and look for solutions in the field of pigment print. So here you can see the fibers, and on top of the fibers, the hot melts. As you can see it here. Hot melt printing is rather unusual in textile world. For the graphic industry, it is already state of the art. So I have some results with me, but I see time's ticking, so clock's ticking. I'll be very quick here. Light fastness is a topic when it comes to reactive print versus pigments. So this could be interesting here, but quality of 5 maybe is not enough when it comes to material that is used for the decoration of windows. Rubbing fastness, dry and wet, so this is already a quite convincing result. And the pigments here, or this solid ink technology, it's not pigment, it's dye stuff based, could at least be used for wall decorations and for a certain special field of home textiles. Another technology we analyze is also shown here on the fair, pigment printing to the cornet principle. What you see here are just some fabrics which we printed, and what we check here, different quality for the application direct to garment, t-shirt printing, cotton with elastic fibers or viscose elastic fibers, woven and single jersey. And what we check for these materials is, on one side, the pre-treatment of the fabrics, but I'm not showing the results here. And on the other side, fixation temperature and fixation time, how do they influence the quality of the prints? What you can see here, depending on the fixation temperature and the fixation time, you get an increase of the rubbing fastness. In this case, wet is just one example. We had many measurements to be done, but at least it's important to set the temperature and to set the fixation time, and we know time is money and we have to be very quick in t-shirt printing, so people try to do it very quick, and we have got to be careful here to get the right fastness properties. Same time, looking into washing fastness. Here, treatment of the prints 160 degrees, 46 seconds, which is definitely too short. And you can see very easily different fabrics washed at 30 degrees, 40 and 60 degrees, how quickly you might lose your print if you don't fix it correctly. So you have here a negative result, so something must be done here. But what you can see on this chart here, even at 60 degrees, you have a rather good result here. And for cold wash, which should be recommended here, and which is the tradition in t-shirt washing, 40 degrees, 30 degrees, and companies like Henkel actually work right now on 15 degrees washing. So this is where the future goes, and this definitely is putting some advantages into the pigment print, but definitely, of course, also into other types of prints. So just showing you a few examples from research work in the university. So I'm pretty sure that there will be this development, which was given here already 2 years ago in the magazine Digital Textile, sort of a prediction where will we head to with the direct-to-garment printing, and there definitely is this growth prediction, and the technology we just talked about will definitely be part of it. Okay, so the future, we are right now somewhere here. So for the next FESPAs, there will be much success to become or to be found, and I hope for you this will be coming true. Beware of the market share that you find here. This is a global business. First, I thought this might be a chance for European printers to build up business back in Europe, sort of have the print right next door to the designer, to the brand. So this was perhaps a hope that I had, but this is not the reality. This is a global business, and what you can see here, global market share for China, for India, other Asian countries, Pakistan is picking up. So that is a global business, and we just have to be good and quick. And within Europe, there are definitely countries stronger than others. I would say Italy, Spain, and Turkey are quite strong, and we here in Germany more or less strong in the signage business. But yeah, I see you laughing. The fashion business. So I think we can learn here a little bit from our Southern Europe friends. Okay, so this was my last chart, and I hope I could give you or talk to you about some new information, or maybe support the opinion that you already had. I wish you a very successful exhibition and interesting discussions with your partners here on the fair. Thank you very much.